I have spent 3 nights staring at this vial. It was recovered from the wreckage of a drop pod in the ash wastes of Armageddon. The tech priests tell me it is inert. They tell me the chemical half-life has expired. But I can hear it. It does not hum with the grace of a machine's spirit. It growls. It is a biological accelerant so potent that even in this sealed state, it radiates a sense of urgency. It wants to be used. It wants to burn. This is a sample of Frenzon. A combat stimulant? No, that is a word for soldiers. This is a solvent. It is designed to dissolve the barrier between a man and a monster. It creates a state of fearless rage and triples the speed of neural impulses. It turns the blood into a toxic sludge. Tonight we do not speak of heroes. We do not speak of the grand strategy or the noble defense of the Imperium. We speak of the nuclear option. The Officio Assassinorum possesses many tools. We know the Vindicare, he is a scalpel, defined by patience. We know the Calidus, she is a phantom, defined by deception. But what happens when the High Lords do not want a surgical cut? What happens when they want a scream? They send the Eversor. The document before me is titled The Anatomy of a Biological Bomb. It details a process that the archives call industrial biological reconstruction. Note the phrasing, not training, reconstruction. You do not train an Eversor, you build them. You take a human being, a child really, for only the young have bones soft enough to endure the twisting, and you subtract the humanity. You remove the limitations of pain, fatigue, and empathy. Then you add the horror. You fill them with this. You fuse their ribs into a solid plate of bone. You implant a second heart, not to save their life, but to turn their circulatory system into a hydraulic engine capable of rupturing its own vessels. And then, because no human mind can withstand this biology, you enslave them. You insert the Lobo-Chip. We are told they are operatives, but as we walk through this dossier, as we descend into the lived Grimdark of their creation, you will see the truth. They are not men, they are not women, they are ammunition. And tonight we will find out what it costs to pull the trigger. To the adepts of the High Lord, we present the solution to the impossible mandate. The strategic cogitators often encounter a scenario designed as the Gordian knot. A target, heavily fortified, politically insulated, and commanding a fanatical following. A surgical strike via Vindicare is insufficient. The death must be public. A deception via Calidus is too slow. The threat is imminent. In such instances, the Omnicide provides a third option. We do not untie the knot, we incinerate it. Enter the Clade Eversor. Common soldier Patoy refers to the Eversor as a berserker. This is a vulgar simplification. The Eversor is not a blunt instrument. It is the pinnacle of macrobiological engineering. It is the triumph of the human form over the limitations of the human condition. The creation of an Eversor is not a matter of training. One cannot teach the body to ignore physics. One must rebuild the chassis. We begin with the substrate selection. The adult human frame is calcified. It is set in its ways, resistant to the radical topography of the Eversor template. Therefore, we source our materials from the Scoloprogenium's youngest novitiates. We require the plasticity of youth. The bone must be soft enough to be reshaped. The mind must be fluid enough to be poured into a new mold. Endoskeletal hyperossification. Observe the thoracic cavity. In a baseline human, the ribcage is a cage of individual struts, flexible but fragile. A kinetic impact of sufficient force will shatter the bone, driving splinters into the lungs. This is an unacceptable failure state. Utilizing the osmodular implant, a variety of the gene seed technology blessed by the Astartes, we induce a rapid, controlled bone growth cycle. The ribs do not merely thicken, they interlace. They fuse into a solid plate of ceramite-dense biological material. The chest becomes a biological cuirass. It is no longer a cage, it is a vault. It can withstand the impact of a bolt around without compromising the organs within. This restructuring serves a dual purpose. The fused cavity allows for expansion of the pulmonary system. The Eversor does not pant, it does not gasp. It possesses a multi-lung capacity that allows it to operate in low oxygen environments or through the cloud of toxic gas it often deploys as a weapon. The hemodynamic overdrive. The engine of the Eversor is the secondary heart. Critics in the Administratum often query the resource cost of this implant. They ask, why two? They misunderstand the mechanics of the weapon. The primary heart sustains life. The secondary heart fuels destruction. During combat deployment, the Eversor enters a state of metabolic frenzy. The muscles burn oxygen at a rate that would induce immediate necrosis in a standard human. The secondary heart acts as a turbocharger. It increases arterial pressure to levels that would burst the veins of an unmodified subject. It forces nutrient-rich, stimulant-laced blood into the extremities, ensuring the operative remains at peak lethality even when sustaining catastrophic damage. Chemical hypertrophy. We do not rely on the gymnasia. Time spent lifting weights is time lost. Instead, we implant the biscopia. This organ releases a constant stream of growth hormones and muscle density stimulators. The subject's musculature is chemically forced into a state of permanent, dense hypertrophy. The Eversor is a knot of fast-twitch fibers. They do not possess the stamina for a 10-day march. That is the province of the guard. They possess the explosive power to sprint up a vertical wall or tear a hatch off a tank. They are sprinters designed for a race that ends in a massacre. The chemical interface. To control this biological furnace, we install the auto-injector rig. The Eversor does not eat during a mission. It feeds on Frenzon, stim, and satrafine. These are not drugs in the narcotic sense. They are fuel. Frenzon to nullify fear and repress the self-preservation instinct. Stim to override the pain receptors. Satrafine to accelerate neural processing speed. The operative perceives time differently. To the Eversor, the enemy is moving in slow motion. The chaotic battlefield is a still life painting that they can dismantle at their leisure. The neural override. Here we address the most delicate aspect of reconstruction, the mind. A human mind, even one psycho condition, will hesitate. It will feel pity. It will calculate the odds of survival. The Lobo-Chip removes these variables. It is a mistake to view this as a lobotomy. A lobotomy reduces function. The Lobo-Chip purifies it. It creates a neural bypass around the centers of the brain responsible for empathy, fear, and hesitation. It connects the visual cortex directly to the motor functions. The operative does not think, I should attack that enemy. The operative sees the enemy and the hand strikes. The gap between perception and violence is erased. Storage and maintenance. The metabolic cost of the state is high. An active Eversor burns through its own caloric reserves in hours. Therefore, between deployments we initiate cryostasis. This is the ultimate efficiency. The weapon consumes no resources, it does not age, it does not degrade. It waits in the ice, perfectly preserved, until the moment the High Lords turn the key. When you requisition an Eversor, you are not asking for a soldier. You are releasing a force of nature. Sanitary, precise, inevitable. This is the Clade Eversor. Exitus acta probat. End of file 77 Epsilon. Praise the throne. The official record calls it activation. They show you a diagram of a switch being flipped. But the machine does not record the screen. Immunitorum does not archive the taste of the cryofluid, or the feeling of your own blood turning into acid. What follows is the raw data. No edits, no filters. This is not a soldier waking up for duty. This is a monster being born. Cold. It is the only truth. The cold is not a temperature. It is a location. I live here. I have always lived here. There is no up or down. There is only the viscosity of the gel. It fills my ears. It fills my throat. It presses against my eyes. A heavy gelatinous weight that keeps the lid sealed shut. I am a stone at the bottom of a frozen ocean. Think. I try to find a thought, a name. Talk. The syllable floats up through the sludge of my mind. It tastes like dust. No, not talk. That name is dead. 7 Sigma. Yes, that is the barcode. That is the inventory number etched into the base of my skull. I drift between the beats. In the silence, there are ghosts. I see a face. A woman? No, a target. a red reticle superimposed over a smiling mouth. I feel a sensation. Sunlight? No. The heat of a melter gun barrel. The memories are chopped up, minced. The Lobo-Chip eats them while I sleep. It digests the soft parts, the love, the fear, the doubt, and leaves only the hard gristle of technique. How to break a neck, how to clear a jam, how to kill. I am here, in the ice. I do not have to hurt anyone here. Please, let me stay. The ocean drains away. Gravity returns. It hits me like a physical blow. The weight of my own bones crushes down on me. The biological cuirass, the fused ribcage, compresses. My lungs, shriveled and empty, suddenly demand air. I try to inhale. Error. My mouth is filled with slime. I gag. The reflex is violent. My stomach contracts, hard as a fist, trying to expel emptiness. I retch, spitting out a glob of thick, blue nutrient gel. It tastes of copper and stale electricity. The skin wakes up first. It burns. The air touches my dermis, and it feels like sandpaper. The cryopreservatives are sublimating, turning from liquid to gas in my skin. It freezes and burns at the same time. I try to move my arm. Nothing. The nerves are dead wires. The signal goes out. Lift hand. But the line is cut. My body is a heavy, dead meat sack, hanging in the restraints. I am paralyzed, helpless, and the spider is coming. It starts at the base of the skull. Stims. Adrenal synth. Wake-up juice. It isn't fluid. It is liquid voltage. I feel it trace the path of my spine. It hits the nerve clusters like a lightning strike. My back arcs. Violently, I strain against the metal clamps. My jaw clamps down so hard I hear a tooth crack. The paralysis shatters. Pain floods in. My fingers snap open. My toes curl. Every nerve ending in my body screams at once. A chorus of 10 million microscopic alarms. I am awake. I am hurting. I am alive. I am shivering. Violent convulsing shivers. My core temperature is rising from near zero to fever pitch in seconds. The secondary heart wakes up. Ka-thump, ka-thump, ka-thump. It's a different rhythm, a syncopated beat that rattles my ribcage. It feels like a bird trying to batter its way out of my chest. The servitors descend. They do not dress me, they package me. The sin skin is black, glistening, smelling of processed oil. They spray it on. It hits my skin hot, a liquid latex that shrinks as it cools. It tightens, it squeezes, it seals my pores, it binds my muscles, it becomes a second dermis, locking the sweat and the chemicals inside. I feel the pressure on my throat, my groin, my eyes. I'm sealed in rubber, a vacuum-packed killer. They attach the tools, the gauntlet. I flex the fingers. The monomolecular needles slide out, snick, snick. They look delicate, beautiful. I stare at them. The light reflects off the needle tips. For a second, I remember a girl. She was holding a needle. Sewing? Who is she? Talk? Who is she? The chip punishes the thought. Pain. A spike of white-hot agony directly into the frontal lobe. Memory is inefficient. Memory is weakness. The girl's face dissolves into static. Good. I don't want to remember her. I don't want her to see me like this. I am not Talk. I am the gauntlet. I am the needle. The descent. This is the worst part. The waiting. I am falling towards a planet I do not know. To kill people I have never met. The pod shakes. It rattles my teeth. I can taste blood in my mouth from where I bit my tongue. The heat shield is glowing. I can feel the radiation bleeding through the hull. It tastes metallic, like licking a battery. My heart rate is climbing. 120 BPM, 150 BPM, 200 BPM. The biscopia is pumping growth hormones into my muscles. I feel them swelling, tightening against the sin-skin suit. I'm getting bigger, harder, denser. The pressure in my skull is building. The Frenzon dispensers are primed. I can hear the pumps whining, waiting for the signal. Just give it to me, please. I need the red. The fear is trying to crawl back in. The fear of death, the fear of pain, the fear of the fall. I need the drug to kill the man so the monster can work. It hits the heart first, a cold spike that instantly turns into a nuclear fire. Frenzon. The world snaps into focus. The darkness isn't dark anymore. It's a canvas of thermal gradients. Vibration isn't annoying, it's a rhythm. It's a war drum. Thump, thump, thump. No, faster. Rat-tat-tat-tat. My blood is singing. The fear evaporates. It is replaced by a hunger so profound it feels like starvation. I'm not falling. I'm diving. I am a thunderbolt thrown by the Emperor's own hand. I check the weapons. Bolt pistol, charged. Neuro gauntlet, wet. Mind, blank. The name talk is gone. There's only target. There's only kill. The ground is rushing up to meet me. I bare my teeth. The gums are bleeding. I want to hit the ground. I want to break it. I want to pull against the restraints. The metal groans. I'm stronger than the iron. I am the bomb, and the fuse is burning. Time to go to work. The air tastes like sulfur and old brick dust. I inhale. The multi-lung filters snap shut, scrubbing the particulate matter. The air that reaches my blood is pure, oxygen-rich, stinging cold. Target identification. I don't look with my eyes. I look with the sentinel array. The heat signatures bleed through the smoke. Target 1, biological, 78 kilograms. Pulse rate, 110. Fear. Target 2, biological, 90 kilograms. Pulse rate, 95. Caution. They are meat. They are sacks of fluid waiting to be popped. The hunger twists my stomach. It's not a craving for food. It's a craving for kinetic impact. I need to feel something break. Movement. My back legs coil. Biscopia floods the quadriceps. The tension is unbearable. I am a loaded spring. I land on the first one. I don't use the blade yet. I use momentum. My knee drives into his chest. I feel the ribs give way. Not a crack, but a crunch. Like stepping on a dry branch. The impact vibrates up my shin, into my thigh. It feels correct. He tries to scream. I clamp my hand over his face. Silence. I feel his jawbone shift under my grip. The rubber of the sin-skin glove squeaks against his sweat. The second target turns. He raises a lasgun. Too slow. You are moving through molasses. I see the trigger finger tightening. I see the muscles in his forearm contract. I have an eternity to act. The needle sliding between the neck muscles, smooth, lubricated. I squeeze the reservoir trigger. Payload, virulent cytotoxin. I feel the fluid leave the gauntlet. It pulses out of me and into him. It is an intimate act, a transfusion of death. I watch the eyes. The pupil dilates instantly. The iris turns grey. The toxin is stripped. The myelin sheaths from his nerves. It is boiling his blood. He drops the gun. He claws at his throat. His fingers leave red streaks on his skin. He falls. Thud. Dopamine hit. The Lobo-Chip rewards me. A spike of pleasure. Warm and golden. Floods my brain. Good boy. Do it again. Find more. The tactical cogitator is screaming. Multiple targets. Heavy weaponry. Calculated threat minimal. I am ghosting. The sin skin absorbs the light. I am a shadow with teeth. I drop. I land in the center of the squad. The violence is not a fight. It is a disassembly. I grab cultist by the belt and the throat. I heave. He becomes a projectile. I throw him into the heavy stubber team. Crunch. Bodies tangle. Metal clatters. I draw the executioner pistol. It is heavy in my hand. Warm. The machine spirit is eager. Thump hiss. Thump hiss. Bolt. Needle. Bolt. Needle. The rhythm is hypnotic. The bolt round hits a torso. Blam. Wet confetti. The needle round hits a neck. Thump. Silent seizure. I am spinning. The world is a blur of muscles, flashes, and red mist. I am laughing. Why am I laughing? It's the Frenzon. It's turning the horror into a joke. Look at them fall. They are puppets with their strings cut. Clear. I stand in the center of the meat. The smell is overpowering. Copper, bowels, burnt ozone. I inhale it deep. It fuels the engine. My heart is hammering against the bone plate. Thud, 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 thud. Is this what it means to be a god? To decide who breathes and who rots? Alert. The sentinel array spikes. A mute signal. Not heat, not motion. Mass. Something heavy is moving behind the smoke. Something that shakes the floor. Target, Astartes Traitoris. Class Heretic Astartes. Armor, Ceramite power plate. Threat level, extreme. The red fog wavers. Their laughter dies in my throat. It is not chaff. This is a predator. My programming screams attack. My biological instinct, the tiny shriveled remnant of the human brain, screams run. The Lobo-Chip wins. It overrides the fear. It dumps a massive dose of stim into my spine. Kill the heretic. I'm a bullet. I see the target. I see the gap in the ceramite. Strike true. I dive. I slide across the ferrocrete, sparks flying from my knee pads. I thrust the gauntlet upward. I expect the slide of metal into soft steel. I expect the roar of pain. The world stops. The air leaves my lungs. The biological cuirass, the fused bone plate that is supposed to be indestructible, flexes. I feel a hairline fracture open down my sternum. A hot line of agony. I am airborne. I am flying backwards. I hit a pillar. Crunch. My spine compresses. The sin skin tears across my back. I hit the ground hard. I try to roll. I try to stand. My legs don't work. The signal is scrambled. Error. Motor control offline. The world flashes on my HUD in red letters. I try to raise the executioner pistol. My arm is shaking. The tremors are violent. The biscopia muscles are spasming. locked in a feedback loop of trauma and chemicals. I fire. Blam. The pistol round hits the Marine's pauldron. It detonates. It scratches the paint. The Marine laughs. It is a wet, gurgling sound, amplified by the Voxcaster. Is that all, little boy? The math is simple. Mass times acceleration equals death. I'm going to die here. I'm going to die a failure. The Lobo-Chip is frantic. It is cycling through options. Option A, melee, unavailable. Option B, ranged, ineffective. Option C, there's a third option. Protocol they don't teach you in the briefing. Protocol that isn't about fighting. It's about burning. I don't need to win. I just need to take him with me. I grab the dial. I twist it past the safety stop. I twist it to the zone marked in black hazard stripes. Maximum overdrive. Ignition. It doesn't hit me like a wave. It hits me like a train collision. The Frenzon reservoir dumps its entire payload into the left atrium. 100 cc's of pure liquid hate. My heart stops. For 1 second, the shock is so great the muscle simply seizes. Silence. Then the secondary heart kicks in. It realizes the primary engine has stalled and it compensates with violence. Thud. The beat shakes my entire skeleton. The blood moves. It is no longer blood. It is a boiling acidic sludge. The heat starts in the chest and shoots to the extremities. My broken ribs, they don't matter. The pain receptors are burnt out. The nerves are screaming, but the brain isn't listening. My vision shifts. The red tint deepens, darkening until the world looks like a photographic negative. White shadows, black light, and the Night Lord. He looks like a bonfire. Slow. He is so slow. I have time to think. I have time to breathe. I have time to plan. Here's the section. The Vescopia fibers in my legs contract. They are hard as iron bars now. I don't just stand up. I explode upwards. I hold him for a microsecond. We are frozen. The demigod and the monster. He looks down. His lenses glow. I can feel his confusion radiating off of him like heat. Impossible, he thinks. Mortal meat should be crushed. But I am not mortal anymore. I am a chemical equation that ends in zero. I grin. My lips split. Surprise. I am the jockey. He is the beast. I raise the neuro gauntlet. I don't aim for the neck. Too much armor. I aim for the eye lens. The glass is reinforced plasteel. Bulletproof, but not needleproof. I drive the gauntlet down. Strike. The needles hit the lens. They don't break. They vibrate. I put all my weight behind it. Every ounce of the chemical strength. Push, push, pop. I purge the tanks. Everything I have. Cytotoxins, neurophage, acidic bile. I pump it directly into his ocular cavity, into the brain meat. The Marine screams. It is not a battle cry. It is the sound of a soul being evicted. He thrashes. He spins. He slams himself backwards into a stone pillar, trying to crush me. Crash. My spine snaps. I hear it. A dry twig sound. But I don't let go. I can't let go. My muscles are locked in a titanic contraction. My hand is fused into his skull. We fall together. A tangle of blue armor and black rubber. We hit the ground. He twitches once, twice. Then silence. The fire doesn't stop. The target is dead, but the Frenzon doesn't know that. It is still pumping. It is still demanding violence. Target, target, target. The Lobo-Chip is spinning in a logic loop. It can't find an enemy, so it turns the aggression inward. My hand, I look at my fingers. The skin is blistering. Toxins I released were corrosive, and the splashback has eaten through the skin glove. My fingertips are raw meat. I don't feel the pain. I feel itching. A terrible, deep itch inside the bone. I want to tear my own skin off just to scratch it. Core temperature 42.5 degrees Celsius. Heart rate 280 beats per minute. Arrhythmia. Hydration critical. I am cooking. My blood is literally boiling in my veins. If I don't cool down, the proteins in my brain will denature. I will turn into a vegetable. I need water. I look around. The manufactorum is dry, dust and oil. I see a puddle of coolant leaking from a smashed pipe. It is green, iridescent toxic. I crawl towards it. I drag my legs. They are useless now. Dead weight. I reach the puddle. I cup my ruined hand. I drink. It tastes like battery acid. It burns my throat, but it is wet. More. I lap it up like a dog. Who is that? Lobo-Chip tries to scrub the image. Static. But the chip is overheating too. The firewall is melting. The memories are leaking through. I see the boy. He is holding a toy soldier. Wood. Crude paint. He looks at me. Talk? He whispers. Why does it hurt? I try to speak. I tell him to run. To tell him that talk is dead. But when I open my mouth, only blood comes out. I am the weapon. I choke. The ghosts are back. They always come when the drug wears off. The come-down demons. I squeeze my eyes shut. Go away. I followed orders. I am a good instrument. I curl into a ball. The biological cuirass feels like a prison cell. I am trapped inside my own skeleton. The pain is returning now. The stim is metabolizing faster than the pain. My back, my ribs, my hand. It hits me all at once. A symphony of agony. I scream. It is a thin, high sound. The sound of a child. Something is coming. Is it the enemy? I hope so. If it is the enemy, I can die. I can try to find the pistol. My hand fumbles on the floor. Empty. I lost it. I have nothing. I am just a broken toy on the floor of a cathedral. Ah, the shift is over. They have come to put the tool back in the box. I look at the servitor. It has no face, just a brass grill. It raises a launcher. Containment foam. I don't fight. I don't have the energy to fight. I just close my eyes and wait for the cold. Please, let it be cold. The fire is too hot. It hits me. It is heavy, sticky. It hardens instantly, locking my ribs, my chest, my head. I am encased in amber. The world goes dark. But the heartbeat doesn't stop. Thump, thump, thump. It is the only sound in the universe, and it sounds like a countdown. I am baggage. I am a crate of munitions being returned to the armory. The foam is tight. It presses against my chest, restricting the ribcage. Biological cuirass can take a bolt around, but it cannot expand against this chemical cement. I am suffocating, slowly. The multi-lung is trying to filter oxygen from the trapped air pocket in front of my face. It tastes of stale sweat and the acid burning on my lips. Status report. Pain, absolute. The Frenzon is fading. The tide is going out, and as the red water recedes, it reveals the wreckage on the beach. My spine, I can feel the grind of bone on bone where the vertebrae crack. My hand, it pulses with a dull, throbbing heat. My heart, thump, thump. It is missing beats. It is fluttering like a dying moth. I am not afraid of dying. I am afraid they will not let me die. Here it comes. The Damascene, the peace. The proctor calls it a sedative. That is a lie. A sedative implies sleep. This is a chemical fetter. It is a leash. I try to flinch. I try to turn my head. The Lobo-Chip overrides the motor command. Standby mode engaged. Comply. I am a prisoner in my own skull. I watch the needle descend. I feel the tip touch the skin. The skin is already raw from the injection ports. Push. It breaks the surface. It slides into the carotid artery. Inject. The grey fog. It hits the brain instantly. The pain doesn't vanish. It just moves away. It becomes someone else's pain. The fire in my veins turns to ash. My thoughts slow down. The panic dissolves into a heavy, crushing apathy. I don't care that my spine is broken. I don't care that my hand is melted. I just want to close my eyes. But I can't. The foam holds the eyelids open. I am forced to watch. The strip. This is the part the propaganda reels skip. The thin skin is not clothing. It is a seal. After emission, the heat and the chemical exudations fuse it to the dermis. To remove the suit, you have to remove the top layer of skin. The servitor clamps a pincer onto the wrist cuff. It pulls. I feel the skin tear. It feels like a long, slow burn, like a strip of tape being ripped off a raw wound. I want to scream, but the Damascene has paralyzed my vocal cords. I can only gurgle. Grr. They peel me like a fruit. My chest, my legs, the ruined arm. When they pull the glove off the left hand, the hand that killed the Night Lord, the skin comes with it. I see the red muscle underneath. I see the white flash of bone. The servitor does not pause. It throws the ruined glove into an incinerator chute. It was part of me. Now it is trash. Repairs. They do not use back to gel. That is too expensive. Too slow. They use fire. They weld the skin shut. I smell my own flesh burning. It smells like pork. It smells like the mess hall. The realization makes me want to vomit. My stomach is paralyzed. They check the spine. A servitor drills a hole into my back. I feel the vibration in my teeth. They insert a rod. Plasteel. Cold. They hammer it into place. Clang, clang. I'm not being healed. I'm being retrofitted. I'm a tank that threw a tread. They are just banging the pins back in so I can roll again. The flush. The most vital step. My blood is toxic. It is saturated with Frenzon, stim, and the metabolic waste of a body pushed beyond its limits. If they leave it in, it will rot my organs from the inside out. So they drain me. I watch the tube turn black. That is my life leaving. That sludge, that poison. I feel empty. A hollowness that sits in the center of my chest. Then the second tube opens. Cryofluid. Hyper-oxygenated saline. It is cold. So cold. It enters my veins at near freezing temperatures. It shocks the heart. Thump, thump. The secondary heart shudders and goes offline. It goes dormant. The primary heart takes over. A weak, pitiful fluttering. The cold spreads. It freezes the fire in the nerve endings. It freezes the memories. The Night Lord, the broken pillar, the boy with the toy soldier. They all freeze. They turn into statues in the gallery of my mind. Home. This is the only home I have. The mission was, how long? 2 hours? 3? It felt like a lifetime. And now, the eternity returns. The servitors shove me in. I stumble, my feet numb. my spine stiff with the new rod. I fall back against the padding. Restraints clamp the wrists. Click. Restraints clamp the ankles. Click. Restraints clamp the head. Click. I am immovable. The glass door swings shut. I see my reflection one last time. The eyes are dead. The mouth is slack. I look like a corpse that hasn't realized it's dead. The cold takes the eyes first. The darkness comes. Then the cold takes the mind. The thoughts become sluggish. I was, talk. No, talk is gone. There's only the ice. The ice is safe. The ice doesn't hurt. The ice doesn't ask you to kill. I let go. I sink into the bottom of the ocean. I sleep, and I dream of the fire. I dream of the bomb going off. One day I will stay awake. One day I will burn it all down. But not today. Today, I am just inventory. Asset secured. That was the final log entry. Asset secured. Not soldier returned, not mission accomplished. Asset. Like a crate of bolt shells, like a spare tank tread. You saw the briefing in Act 2. The proctor stood in his pristine blue light and used words like efficiency, surgical, and reconstruction. He showed us clean wire frames. He spoke of the Eversor as a triumph of function. It is a lie. It is the specific, necessary lie that the Imperium tells itself so that it can sleep at night. Let us perform our own autopsy. Let us take the official record and hold it against the bloody reality we just witnessed. The Munitorum calls the Eversor an operative. Consider the etymology of that word. An operative implies agency. It implies a soldier who receives orders, processes them through a tactical intellect, and executes them. An operative makes choices. 7 Sigma did not make choices. He did not choose to engage the Night Lord. The Lobo-Chip overrode his survival instincts. He did not choose to overdose on Frenzon. The adaptation was a programmed response to a failure state. He is not an operative. He is a delivery system. He is a biological cruise missile that happens to have a human face. And this, the proctor called this a combat stimulant. He compared it to the recaf you drink to stay awake on a double shift. He compared it to the adrenaline of a fight. That is like calling a promethium bomb a heating element. We heard 7 Sigma's internal monologue. This is not a stimulant, it is a solvent. It dissolves the barrier between man and monster. It creates a state of red euphoria that mimics the psychological response of a rabid animal. Did you hear him laughing as he killed? Did you hear the joy in his voice as he broke bones? That wasn't bravery, that was chemical intoxication. We take these children, these novitiates from the Scoloprogenium, and we don't teach them to kill. We drug them until murder feels like ecstasy. We rewire the pleasure center so that the act of taking a life provides the same dopamine hit as a lover's touch. It is obscene. It is a violation of the human soul so profound that even the Mechanicus should shudder. But they don't. They call it optimization. And the suit, the sin skin, the official record calls it armor. It speaks of environmental sealing and ballistic protection. But look at the reality. 7 Sigma described it as a second dermis. He described the peeling. Armor is something you take off. Armor is protection. This is containment. The sin skin is a vacuum-sealed bag designed to keep the wet, leaking biological mess of the Eversor together. It holds the blood inside when the veins burst. It holds the muscles in place when they tear themselves off the bone. And when the mission is over, we saw the surgery, the stripping. We treat them like disposable razors. We use them until the edge is dull, then we scrape them clean, sharpen them on a grinder, and throw them back into the drawer. There was a moment in the hallucination. Did you catch it? The boy with the toy soldier? Talk. That was the name he tried to remember in the cryo-crypt. That was the ghost haunting the machine. The Munitorum tells us that the Lobo-Chip purifies the mind, that it removes inefficiencies like fear and doubt. But it doesn't remove them, it just suppresses them. It builds a dam against the river of memory. But when the chemical runs dry, When the Frenzon fades and the body is broken on the floor of a cathedral, the dam cracks, the boy comes back, and that is the true horror of the Eversor Temple. It's not that we create monsters, it's that the human being is still in there, trapped, screaming behind a wall of static, watching his own hands tear men apart, unable to stop it, unable to look away. 7 Sigma is not a mindless beast, he is a prisoner in his own skull. Why? That is the question that keeps me awake. Why does the Imperium do this? We have the Astartes, noble, gene-forged warriors. We have the God, billions of brave souls. We have the Skitarii, precise machines. Why do we need the Eversor? Why do we need a weapon that burns itself out? A weapon that is so unstable it has to be kept in a freezer? Because the Astartes have honor. Because the God have limits. Because the Skitarii have logic. The Eversor has none of these things. The Eversor is the answer to the question, what are we willing to do to survive? And the answer is, anything. We are willing to turn our children into bombs. We are willing to embrace the very madness we claim to fight. We call them the Clade Eversor, the Ever-Overturner. But in the High Gothic of the Administratum, there is another translation, the final option. They are what we become when we run out of hope, when we run out of strategy, when we have nothing left but pure distilled industrial rage. 7 Sigma is not an anomaly, he is a mirror. Look at him, look at the scars, the drugs, the desperate violence. He is the Imperium stripped of its gold filigree and its hymns. He is the screaming, bloody reality of our survival. We are all 7 Sigma. We are all pumped full of fear and faith, driven by masters we cannot see, fighting a war we cannot win, waiting for the day our hearts finally burst. The proctor called it anatomy. I call it autopsy. We have dissected a man who is still breathing, and the tragedy is not that he dies. The tragedy is that he wakes up again and again and again, until the day the bomb finally goes off, and there is nothing left to put back in the ice. It is done. The record is sealed. The truth of the Clade Eversor is now confined to this parchment, locked away in the dark where it belongs. But the truth does not stay on the page. We began this inquiry with a simple question. What is the cost of the Emperor's wrath? We have spent hours dissecting the biology, the chemistry, and the psychology of the answer. We have seen the cost in the shattered spine of a child named Talk. We have seen it in the boiling veins of a creature that screams for death. But there is one final data point we must address. One final term from the research dossier that haunts me more than the needles or the knives. Bio-Meltdown. The tech priests define it as a failsafe. If an Eversor falls in combat, if the heart stops, if the brain dies, the chemical cocktail within them does not go inert. It destabilizes. The mixture of Frenzon, stim, and retin A undergoes a hypergolic reaction. The operative does not simply die, they detonate. A biological explosion that incinerates the operative and everything within a 10-meter radius. Think of the cruelty of that design. Even in death, they are not granted peace. Even in death, they are a weapon. Their final act is not a prayer, or a goodbye, or a release. It is a blast wave. And this is the ultimate metaphor for the Imperium of Man in the 41st millennium. We are not a civilization building towards a golden age. We are not a society of laws and progress. We are an Eversor assassin in the moments before the meltdown. Look at us. We pump our society full of the Frenzon of fanaticism. We inject our population with the stim of endless war. We suppress our humanity with the Lobo-Chip of dogma and ignorance. We run our engines in the red zone, burning our resources, burning our people, burning our very souls, just to stay alive for one more day. The High Lords, the Ecclesiarchy, the Administratum, they are like the proctor we saw in Act 2. They tell us this is efficiency. They tell us this is the grand strategy. But down here in the lived Grimdark we know the truth. This is not strategy. This is panic. We are terrified of the silence. We are terrified of what happens when the shooting stops. Because if we stop, if the chemicals wear off, we will have to look at ourselves in the mirror. We will have to see the scars, the burns, the hollow eyes of the monster we have become. Operative 7 Sigma is back in the ice now. He is dreaming of the fire. He is praying for the Bio-Meltdown. He longs to be a bomb that finally goes off, because destruction is the only language he has left. The Imperium is no different. We are waiting for the Golden Throne to fail. We are waiting for the Astronomicon to flicker out. We are waiting for the final detonation. And until that day comes, we will continue to send our sons into the meat grinder. We will continue to turn men into munitions. We will continue to scream into the void, hoping that if we scream loud enough, the darkness won't come. The Eversor Temple is not an aberration. It is not a mistake. It is the purest expression of our reality. Function over form. Hate over hope. Survival over life. We have stripped away everything that makes us human and replaced it with a gun. The file is now closed. The asset is secured. My report is concluded. The full dossier will be sealed under penalty of heresy. You may append your own approved commentary to the record below. The Ordo Chronos is ever watchful.